I never got to experience how World of Warcraft actually feels like during an expansion launch. And that's pretty bizarre because doesn't the game have like 9? There's been 9 expansions that Blizzard Entertainment has released, and now with the newest one titled The War Within, the game now has 10 expansions. Yeah, I guess you're getting pretty old, but why have I never played any of these expansions during the launch days? Well, to put it in a short story, my Christian parents told me growing up that any video game with demons, magic, and if there was a subscription tied to it, yeah, I can throw that thought out the window because I'll never get to play those games. But now that I'm in my 20s and I don't live with my parents anymore,
I am not that person anymore.
I can do things like play the game. And that's exactly what I started doing. I played World of Warcraft in early 2023. This is when Dragonflight had already been launched for a handful of months, so I missed that initial hype of that expansion. But with The War Within releasing, I knew it was time for me to figure out why so many people had so many great stories when an expansion launched for WoW. So I told my girlfriend, hey, the expansion's coming out. I'm gonna be busy playing World of Warcraft for the next couple of days. And this is actually how it felt like logging into the game when the expansion launched. So I got to partake in the early access period for The War Within, and there's so many things to dive into with this expansion. In this video, I'll cover a variety of topics, like what type of zones you can experience within The War Within, the new level cap of 80 and the hero talents. Is it actually fun to have these things within your class, or does it actually overcomplicate everything within World of Warcraft, which is a game that is kind of overcomplicated already? What about the game making it easier for account-wide progress? Things like the delve system, to be able to jump into content without you actually needing to party up with people. Is this turning into a single player game? And of course, we'll figure out if the story for The War Within has been fun, especially for me as a new player. Here I am reacting to some of the cutscenes in the game. Is it enjoyable for me? Do I get hooked onto it? Well, I'll cover everything from a bird's eye view, and if you're coming here looking for some Giga Chad Shadow Priest gameplay to figure out what your rotation should be, I'll be real here, I'm not the best World of Warcraft player, but I still have fun regardless. So let's go ahead and figure out, is The War Within actually worth it? Let's dive on into it. So when I heard that World of Warcraft announced not only 1 but 3 expansions coming out, I did little to no information to figure out what's actually going to happen in these expansions. The only bit of knowledge I knew up front for The War Within was that we gotta fight some evil elf lady called Xalatath, who actually lived in some dagger that my Shadow Priest can get in the game. Cool, sounds awesome. And the other thing I learned is that the game's going to exist in caves. That's right, we are actually going within Azeroth. And I was not really excited for that because I'm thinking, what is this, like Minecraft or something? Are these zones just gonna be like filled with a bunch of gross monsters and that's just gonna be it? We're never gonna be able to see daylight ever again? I was pleasantly surprised when I started playing this expansion. I'll be honest with you guys, for a game that came out in 2004 and this is what the brand new maps look like, yeah, it's awesome. There are 4 brand new maps within this expansion. The first one being the Isle of Dorn. And this is actually a surface map, like you're on top of land, so you're not in a cave. The second map within the expansion is actually the Ringing Deeps. Here you'll find a bunch of dwarfs here. I don't really know the factions as to why there are stone dwarfs down here, but you have a whole society of dwarfs living down here. The third map is my favorite map. This is called Hallowfall, and Hallowfall is absolutely beautiful because they have airships, nice waterfalls, and also this giant crystal that changes colors sometimes depending on what kind of events are happening. Like, Guys, this is incredible. It's my favorite map, and I actually tried to do all the quests within Hallowfall just because of how cool the map is. Flying around within here, you're thinking, am I actually in a cave right now? I could probably talk another 10 or 20 minutes about Hallowfall, but the fourth map you get to experience is the spider nest den of Azkahat. I don't know if I'm saying this correctly, but this is the, spooky, scary place where these spider creature race things actually live. And speaking about the creatures that exist in these maps, this is what actually excites me with World of Warcraft. These maps are filled with a bunch of people, races, cultures. Why are there specific enemies on these maps? Well, the side quest within the War Within does a great job to explain what type of trouble farmers are getting into and why there are specific enemies that are there causing trouble. Or why are there a bunch of fish people within Hallowfall? You'll be able to experience what these people have to go through, why there are different types of groups of just races coexisting in the same map, and you don't get to experience this if you just fly through maps that you're typically over leveled for and you don't do any of the side quests. Again, this has been a majority of my experience in WoW. I got rushed into Dragonflight because I spammed a bunch of dungeons and hit that level, and of course when I got to experience Dragonflight and went back to older maps, I didn't get to see any of this magic. But leveling up through these maps and doing some of the side quests in Hallowfall, it has shown me that the World of Warcraft team does a fantastic job with writing side quests. Are all of them super exciting? No, but there are some that really keep you on the edge of your seat, like helping out orphans to figure out their trauma of their parents dying, and helping this little girl gather a bunch of pieces from her parents, and now she's wearing like a giant helmet. This is probably what a majority of World of Warcraft players look like. We're just skinny nerds who sit at home and, dream of being tough warriors who can take down monsters and cast spells at things. I'm sure the other 3 maps in the game have great side quests too, and eventually I'll get around to doing them, but I can highly recommend all the side quests within Hallowfall are great fun. And if you're not enjoying yourself, at least you're flying around and being in one of the most beautiful maps within the game. But why would you want to do side quests? Well, if you just stick to the campaign, you won't hit that level cap of level 80. And why do you want to get to level 80? Obviously, there's a lot of cool gear you can wear during that time that you'll need to suit up for in order to get into the raid, which will come out later. But the main reason why you want to get to level 80 is so you have enough skill points to put it into your hero talent tree. The hero talent tree actually adds on a little bit more to your class. And I know you're probably thinking up front, isn't World of Warcraft kind of an overcomplicated game already? Should there really be new systems? This one's quite easy to understand. There's not a lot of reading to kind of figure out what these hero talents do. Each class gets 2 different ones. I got to pick between Archeon or something like that and Void Weaver, both of which are pretty cool. I love the animations for Void Weaver. It is just chef's kiss. It's so good. But apparently you do more damage when you do the Archeon one. So I tried out both, and it does change up your class to figure out what kind of spells and abilities do new things that benefit you at the end of the day, to do more damage, do more healing. But I do enjoy the fresh new animations. Doing skills like a Void Torrent, and I know what that animation looks like. But then I put a skill point in my hero talent, and now there's fresh new animations. That is something that actually visually pleases my eye and gets me excited to use these skills that I've used hundreds and thousands of times while playing the game. I don't know how the hero talents affect other classes, but I just know for Shadow Priest, if you know a class really well, you really get to feel that impact of how a hero talent system or whatever line that you end up choosing, it truly changes how your class feels like. And it's not super overcomplicated. As much as I would complain about how many things are on here, it's really not super overcomplicated, so go for it. It's just so cool that you can change any of the hero talents at any given time. So if you pick a specific one and you want to change it later on, you don't have to run to an NPC to change it or spend a certain amount of gold. You can just change it on the fly. It's like Blizzard Entertainment wants to respect your time and make sure it's easy to play the game, so whatever character you play on, you're still making progress. Well, with the brand new system of warbands, it's essentially account-wide progression. You can unlock skins for different armor sets that your character might not actually wear. Any achievements or any faction renown that you earn on one character, it goes to all characters on your account. And this is truly awesome. As someone who's played Guild Wars 2, and this is something that out the door was available, I think it's about time that Blizzard Entertainment adds this into the game, but better late than never. I'm just glad that this system of account-wide progression is here, so you can always make progress no matter what character you're playing on. And if you want to play on a different character, you don't think, oh, I have to do all these quests again. Oh, this is just so difficult. I love that. I also like that Blizzard is going out of their way to make it easier for you to group up with friends within a guild. It doesn't matter what realm you ended up picking when you made your character. If you're on EU servers, you can join the Hydrated Gamers Guild. It doesn't matter what realm you're on. Let me know if you're looking to join. We have a Discord below. But something I have to complain about, Blizzard, you guys don't have the LFG system of, oh, you're on Horde, I can't play with you because I'm on Alliance. Yeah, I know, guys, they're going to be adding this later on, but I think being able to play with friends regardless of faction should be out the door available. I don't know, maybe there's a bit more coding or work involved to do this, but I think it's just kind of frustrating that that system isn't here quite yet. We have to be patient though. And another thing I'm gonna complain about real quick and then we'll move on. I know when you create your character, your name is tied to your realm and it's kind of an old system. But if I ever want to invite someone and they go, hey, my character's name is Moopliss. Well, it actually depends on what realm you're on. So if I want to invite you, I have to spell out, okay, Moopliss dash the Maelstrom or Moopliss dash whatever realm that you picked. And I think, do realms actually matter anymore? Can we just make everything under like one server? I know splitting them up maybe made sense back in the day, but like, I don't know, spelling out the like name dash realm is just, it's so annoying. Like what does the realm system actually do now? With cross realm and cross account, you know, progress, do the realms actually matter anymore? I don't know, maybe you guys can educate me in the comment section down below, but I'm just curious. Whew, that was a lot of trauma that I just complained about with World of Warcraft. Speaking about trauma though, we gotta jump into the story of what happens within the War Within. So if you wanna avoid any spoilers, you can use the timestamps below to skip the story section. But I'm gonna dive into how I feel about the story for the game. I'll be real with you guys. I know some of the characters that are on screen. Like, I kind of know who Xal'atath is. I kind of understand who Anduin is. I know a little bit about Thrall. But that's about it going into this expansion. Again, I'm kind of going in totally blind. And it's really cool to see some of the character progression happen. Especially with Anduin, we meet another character named Thayen, I think her name is. She's pretty cool because up front you're like, oh, she looks like a suited up armor. Wait, she's missing an arm and one of her eyes are damaged? Like, let's learn about that. Why is she actually here with these holy knights that are dressed up and they're super obsessed with the light and fighting the darkness? Like, there's a lot of obviously themes and topics that go on about within the War Within, such as like Illyria struggling with, oh, do I use like this kind of like dark magic to fight Xal'atath and hunt her down? She's kind of like running off on her own. And some of the characters with the expansion you click with a little bit more. I know people really complain about Anduin, but I think it's really cool to have a male character have trauma, be afraid to heal, and he sees it with other people that maybe it's not so bad to kind of go through what mistakes I made in the past and actually move forward, figure out who I am. But it can be kind of overdrawn, like Illyria getting hot-headed and shooting an arrow thinking Xal'atath is there. Like, okay, sis, let's be real here. You saw this evil void elf like disappear 4 or 5 times, and now that you see her, you're like, I'm gonna shoot at her real quick. Like, no, you know that Xal'atath is playing games with you. Stop being stupid. Hold on a second, chill. Anyway, some of the characters you can really click and vibe with, and I'm actually kind of happy that we have a character such as Xal'atath as the evil enemy, and we actually don't get to fight and finish her at the end of the expansion, at least with this first initial launch update. So that's pretty interesting to figure out, okay, this is going to be a longer story throughout all 3 expansions that took place over the next couple of years. And I do want her shoulder pads, so whenever we do fight her, I'm taking those shoulder pads. Sorry guys, that loot belongs to me, streamer privilege. But I do have to say up front, where is Thrall in this expansion? Is it just because I have an Alliance character I don't run into him many times? I'm just so confused we don't see Thrall as I was playing through the game. Like, you can see him on the loading screens. I'm just shocked, like, where is this dude? Shouldn't he be around here? Is he in some map that I'm not aware of? I don't know. I have not seen a lot of Thrall. It was just kind of surprising he went into this portal and I didn't know where he went after that. There's one little nitpick that I'll pick on about the story. So at one point, Anduin seems seems like he gets overtaken by these spider creatures, and it's like, oh crap, we gotta find Anduin, we gotta land the ship and find him. And then you're trying to go through all the lost items that are on the ground. You see like a broken gauntlet, his scarf is laying somewhere, and you're like, okay, like something happened to Anduin, we gotta track him down. So I was thinking when we find him, since we found all these items we picked up for the quest, I'm thinking Anduin's gonna have some new fit, or he's gonna be like a prisoner somewhere. No, when we run into Anduin, bro is in the same exact outfit. And I'm not complaining, like I kind of like his outfit that he has within the game, but like, didn't I just pick up one of your broken gauntlets? Didn't you throw this scarf on the ground? What, do you have just like an endless supply of these things within your invisible transmog closet? I don't know, I was just kind of surprised to see him in the same exact outfit. I thought he had this big choice that he made to, you know, defend the group from this harpoon that was gonna shoot the airship down. And then, you know, he left these pieces behind because he's like, oh, I couldn't make it out that I got out alive. I'm so sorry, I had to do that. I'm like, are you just pulling these out of your pocket? Small detail I saw in the story, and I thought, it's kind of weird he's in the same outfit. Maybe he should at least be missing a glove and his scarf, but whatever. It is what it is. While playing through the game, it's really cool to see a lot of the new armor sets. I think some other classes got some really cool ones. For example, the warrior has a really cool set. Priest is okay when it comes to the mythic raid. I do like those purple shoulders. Some of the classes, though, they don't have the most amazing sets, but there are some fresh new items that you can acquire within playing these brand new maps while you do the renowned factions and get some experience there. You can get new items there to kind of kit yourself out and have new transmog pieces, and that's what is really exciting about this game. New mounts, new transmog pieces, like, sign us up. This is what WoW players really like about the game. And I know a fair amount of you complained about the first time my character had a transmog appearance. Well, how do you guys feel about the second 2.0 version of moopliss? Yeah, I like it. You might be thinking, well, how do I get new gear? Obviously, you can play the dungeons with other players, but there's also another way you can get new gear. There's this thing called delves within the game. This is essentially like 10 to 15 minute mini dungeons. You usually do a couple of activities like, you know, rescue prisoners, okay, take down a boss, maybe take down another boss. There's also bonus events in there like finding other hidden treasures, maybe fighting an elite mob that's down there, and you can scale it up. It's actually repeatable content that you can make harder and harder and harder to get bigger and better rewards. But this type of content is cool because you actually don't need a party of players. You can just, you know, after work, log into the game, go, okay, I'm gonna queue into one of these delves that I have the choices of, and you actually go in with an NPC companion. So if you're a healer, you can have him do damage, or if you're a DPS doer, you can have him heal you. There's a lot of different choices that you can kit out this character and give him different abilities. I have this ability where he's just like throwing potions like crazy, which, okay, thanks bro, thanks for keeping me hydrated. But it's a good way to know that you don't have to go through World of Warcraft and find a bunch of players to play through content. You can just log in, do some content very quickly and log off, even if you only have 20 to 30 minutes per day. Now, I dove into a fair amount of different topics in this video, you know, account-wide progression, the hero talent system. Obviously, we have a bunch of new items, 4 new maps, a cool story actually to get invested in that is still going to continue on through future updates within the game. Obviously, what's to come next? We have a brand new raid coming out in September. They're going to be adding that kind of heroic and mythic difficulty for you guys to get your teeth into. We'll have Mythic Plus dungeons that you can also play as well, which is repeatable, scaled content, and a lot more things coming out where they plan to have an update being released every 8 weeks, according to an interview with one of the developers. And that's awesome that World of Warcraft is pumping out this much content really quickly. It's going to keep people invested in the game. Obviously, if you're like, oh, I've already kitted out one player, like, what do I do now? Let's switch on over to one of the other characters that you have on your account. There's so many different ways to enjoy this video game and transmog your characters and have them on the login screen in their decked out transmog pieces. Like, that's where the fun of MMOs are. And of course, playing with other players. They're making this easier with the cross realm guilds and all that kind of fun stuff. The final question we have to ask ourselves, is War Within actually worth it? My opinion, I say yes. I had a great time playing through this expansion, and I still have a lot of work to go through and finish a lot of side quests. I highly recommend Hallowfall. That's been great fun to kind of enjoy that. And there's a couple of nitpicks here and there, obviously, but You can tell the team at Blizzard really put a lot of work into this expansion. From incredible cinematics, jaw-dropping environments, and obviously making it so the game is fun to play with the hero talent system to make sure your class still feels a little bit different, even though you don't have a brand new elite spec or new weapons to kind of get your hands into. It's still fun nonetheless. It's World of Warcraft at its finest, and I think Blizzard is moving in the right direction to keep players invested. And for me, being a new player who really doesn't know too much about the story, I'm intrigued to learn more. In fact, I'm excited to go back and learn more about Anduin's past. You know, how did Illyria end up in the position that she's in? I want to figure out where Xal'atath, do we fight her at one point? I know you can get this dagger, but like, what other things can I figure out about Xal'atath from playing all the older content that's in the game? I'm super excited to dive into World of Warcraft. I'm still going to be sticking around making content on it. If you want to join me in-game, you can always join the Discord or check me out when I stream the game on Twitch. And I'm genuinely curious, like, are you playing The War Within? How do you feel about this newest expansion? Obviously, I'm a baby and I'm still fresh to the game, and this is the first expansion I got to witness during its launch, so I'm curious how the experienced players feel about this expansion. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, stay hydrated, gamers.